All right. Well, in this day and age, one of the things that are sorely lacking is going to be the idea of financial education, right? And the fundamentals are missing. People don't understand the basics, and oftentimes we find ourselves in trouble, right? And today, I'm super proud to be able to talk to David Noodleman, who has just taken so much of his time, energy, and efforts to instill that in today's youth, among other things. He's an entrepreneur. He's an artist. He's so many things. But before we run away with my version of who you are, Dave, you want to do me a favor and give folks a little bit of context into who you are and who it is that's speaking before them.
Hey, how's it going? Legacy Wealth Nerds. Honored to be here, man. I'm grateful to be your friend for over almost 3 decades, which
Yes,
is
sir.
crazy. I'm just grateful to be here. You met me early on when I was putting myself out as a creative. I was telling
Mhm.
people, hey, I write songs, or I make poems, or I'm making beats or DJing, and I'm printing shirts. So you caught me in the early phase of that, and pretty much around high school, where
Mhm.
I was trying to figure out what my lane was, and I just always loved creating. I love creating. I love cool shirts. I love music. I love concerts. I love just putting myself out there and connecting with people. And I'm just so grateful to be able to do that on a daily basis. You know, working with artists, working with tons of kids and students and schools and orgs. So yeah, I'm founder of a company called Stereotype, which started in my parents' attic, printing T-shirts, and something just out of the love for music and wanting to have a cool shirt. That I was, I just wanted to have cool shirts for our concerts, and I made them, and I just love the process. I love just speaking through merch. I love speaking through product and motivating people through shirts. Started that 18 years ago. 20 shirts. And I'm grateful today to not only do that business and work with artists all around the country, but also go to schools and show kids how it's possible to have a creative career, and
Mhm.
also show them that dreams are possible.
I love that. I mean, it's interesting because I mean, I had some old heads who went to port with us, and obviously in the days where we entered in, right, there was whatever you want to call it. You want to call it gentrification, you want to call it more diversity, whatever. But I still distinctly remember in our freshman year, where I lived, it was a 1 block difference between zoning, right? So if I lived 1 block up, or maybe it was 2 blocks, whatever. Either way, right? Then that address will put you in the less ghetto high school, right? And some people would figure out a way to not end up in Port Richmond, right? And during troll periods, oh, you're running around with gangsters, you're running around with that, they're gonna punk you, this, that, and that, whatever, right? Like, and for me, there was like the almost like a chip on our shoulder of like, oh, you're gonna be, what are you gonna get into? You're gonna somehow manage to graduate high school, or you're gonna get locked up or dead. I'm like, shut up, right? And I mean, the irony here was, generally speaking, the rules are very simple: mind your business, don't start nothing, and it won't be none, right? It's right.
Yep.
But it's one of those things where I'm sure it's still prevalent, right? It has to be still be prevalent, but there was still a lot of kids who didn't quite understand how the world works. They just knew, you had to hustle. One way or another, you had to hustle this and that and a third. As you grow older, you look at folks like Wall Street Trapper, you see, a lot of folks coming up and they understand like, hey, most of the things that y'all are looking to get into anyway, there's a legal, legitimate way of doing it, right? I think it's just, for me, that has been instilled such a great bit of mindset, right? Because obviously I mean, all of us didn't turn out in prison or dead, right? We didn't, we're not there, and we see a lot of us within, with depending on which class you graduated, you got valedictorians, went to Ivy Leagues, you got doctors, you got lawyers, you got business people, you got everyday accountants, attorneys, you got the full gamut. But I think part of me still has like a heartbreak moment where every now and then, if oh, you went to port, like you must have been one of the few that made it out. I'm like, nah, man. Like a lot of people start up businesses. You have business owners,
Yep.
right? And I think it's important for other kids to understand that hey, there is a path forward, and I want this is where as you went through the progression into saying, hey, I just started this thing to outreach here and there. The program that kind of flourished under your stewardship, I think is something that really speaks volumes. And so that's kind of one of the things I wanted to get into. So, like, how did you start off with this program or programs?
Yeah. It. For me, Alex, I always just wanted to be talking to kids in a school. I had no clue the ins and outs or the different ways to get into a school to actually teach or to even do it as a job or a business, or I just wanted to do it. So I literally, it's weird. By being in the hip hop scene for a long time, I was so used to the mixtape era, I call it, where it's just you show up, you meet people, you do it for free, you get on stage, you shake as many hands and you say hello and give away as many mixtapes as you can and see what happens. But in my case, I was giving out goal sheets and I was giving out bookmarks. And I got one opportunity to go to one school through my friend Cleaver. I still remember it like yesterday. I took a photo. He told me to post it. That led me to six other schools in the Bronx, Jamaica, Queens, Brooklyn. I ended up just in all these other programs, and it was just a 1 day thing. Bringing a bucket list and telling people to set goals, giving them bookmarks, telling them to go for it, and it was just me just putting myself out there and being willing to just say, "Hey, I'm willing to do this. I want to just say hello to kids. I want to inspire. I didn't want anything. I just wanted to do it." And that led to someone finding out that I was in a school. She basically applied for me to for a grant to teach in a school not far from Port Richmond, PS 21. I did not have a curriculum. I did not have anything, but it was just me basically. She was like, "You should teach the t-shirt thing because that's what you do. You have a business." And I said, "Okay, I could definitely teach what I love to do." So I did that. It was kind of like coming up the ranks in music, right? You drop a mixtape and then people find out what you do and then someone else is impressed or they think you're cool or whatever and they invite you to do that thing. And I just kind of kept going through the ranks. So I started at PS 21 10 years ago and I've just done that program consistently for 10 years, teaching kids how to come up with an idea for shirts, showing them the business side of it, showing them how to promote it, and then sell it in the school and raise money for the school. And word got out. Word got out. They were like, "Dave, could you?" Another org asked me to do a program for them. I said, "Okay." Another org hired me, and they said, "Dave, make whatever program you want." So then I just expanded on the program that I was doing at 21. I got more in depth because it was older kids. So I started teaching how to build a website, how to go sampling, manufacturing, printing, graphic design, e-commerce, shipping, all these things that I would do in my day-to-day at home working. I started showing kids how to do it themselves, how to create their own design, how to print it, how to get samples, how to do drop shipping, how to do all this stuff. And I was like, "Oh wow, I actually have like 20 weeks of curriculum and I'm just getting started. I could probably go a whole year of how many little tasks I could show people." And you just kind of keep hitting these moments because I've been teaching in schools now 10 years. But it really just started with those career days and those like special guest, or not even special guest, just a guest, surprise
Mhm.
guest talking about goals. And to me, it was just like keep kind of in like a RPG video game, right? Like you see one part of the board and you're like, "Oh wow, there's more here. There's more here. Oh, there's more I could do here." And then like you learn from it. I was like, "Oh wow, I could really." And there's nothing like the feeling of doing it. Like I love doing it. I love meeting kids. I'm in a week. I'm meeting kids from fourth grade all the way to seniors in high school. So I have such a wide variety, and I meet so many amazing kids from all over and all different parts of Staten Island and New York. It's amazing. Been quite a journey.
Yeah, for me, there's so much of a pack here, right? Like for one, there's gonna be a lot of folks who push back with like you teaching my kid how to make shirts. I'm trying to get my kid graduated with high honors. Like, what do you mean shirts, right? But where I tend to push back is, if anyone who's played sports, anyone who's or jumped careers, or at the level, if think about it, think about it in terms of fundamentals, think about it in terms of first principles, right? Yeah, did he teach you how to make shirts? Yes, but where are the transferable skills, right? For me, and this is where people want to come after me after this one. For me, it's a matter of schools create employees. Maybe you want your kids to be an employee. That's possible. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But I don't know how you were, but I was a terrible student that was gifted with intellect, right? I got by not because I was, a hard studying kid. I got by because I had good memory at the time. I paid enough attention so that I passed my exams. But it wasn't, no, I was, like, you looked at my report cards, there was always Alex doesn't shut his mouth. Alex is disruptive in class. Alex keeps doing da. Right? What do you tell those kids? Right? And so for me, it's like, look, why don't you give them something tangible? And I think that's another big part here. We talk in theories. Memorize this, regurgitate that, right? But most kids don't care, right? Look, they can understand to a certain thing. Maybe they get a new Xbox game if they get good grades. Maybe they get a new pair of sneakers, or maybe just don't get whooped, right? Like, I don't, depending on household, whatever, right? But for me, the message here, for me, I think it's important that it's more than theory. Let's get your hands involved and see the tangible production value that comes with earning your keep, like doing something that you have your hands in, your mind is applied to, and now you have a tangible result,
Yep.
right? And I think this is, again, for me, they're going to be parents is like, I don't agree with the medium that you're using. All right, well then pick something else. This is where I love that. And I remember the conversation we had where, for me, my background, my goal is to kind of instill some kind of motivation and a vision of the future of what is possible, right?
Yep.
And for me, it would have been like, hey, this is the life I'm living. These are the folks that I'm seeing. And you brought something very key here. Hey, that is a great idea. However, at the end of the day, it's just another class, man. Like, it doesn't resonate with them. And I had to sit with that for a moment. I did. And it makes perfect sense, right? I thought of myself as getting another business 101 class. Like, no, no. And so I think what you're doing is, quite frankly, super, super undervalued, right?
Uh,
And for me, where is it that I could understand that you started with, like, hey, this is what I've done already, and so I'm just going to translate it to the classroom so these kids could kind of understand the inner workings of start to finish. But how is it that you were able to get it to a point where the kids really were, like, locked in?
so for me, Alex, what's helped me is I like getting motivation, but I also like to get my hands dirty, right? I love to just start playing not right away. I like being given the steps and like no, I don't like just having to read the manual and figuring it out. I like someone giving me tangible steps, digestible steps, and then I like to jump in because I could only take in so many podcasts. I could read so many blogs. Like I just need a dose and then I want to just jump in and start playing. Like if I'm learning dribbling, I could the minute I start learning is when I actually start dribbling. And then I could pause the video, take the hint, come back in. So I try to teach that. I try to teach the way that I enjoy learning, right? I like it kind of simple steps, but then I also like seeing like I like getting on base. I like seeing
Mm-hmm.
things checked off. I don't want to wait 8 months for one thing to happen. I like every week or every day just making a little bit step closer, a little bit step closer, a little bit step. And and for me personally, when I started making shirts, that was kind of one of the early things that taught me that something was possible. Right? Like you think of something, you come up with an idea, you actually put yourself out there like this is me. This is my idea. And now you have to interact with the world. The world starts interacting with you. You may not even ask for it. So you have to be bold to create something. Two, you have to be bold to put yourself out there with it. Because we create in our room, we have books full of notes and ideas, but like when you wear it, that's a different story. Like this is me. And you take the risk of someone being like, "What is that?" And now you have to either explain yourself or just filter it out. So I learned so much, man, from making shirts and just wearing them and seeing people interact with my art in real time. And then, yes, I've dealt with some negativity, but it's been so positive because people usually they 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 talk about it and like if you're passionate about what you do, it makes such a difference. So for me, bro, I try to always start where their passion is. Even though the shirt is the canvas, I ask them, what are you passionate about? What means the world to you? Let's make that design this, right? So I figure out what that like core thing that they really care about is. And then I help them communicate it through clothing. So they've kind of found their like North Star of like passion. And now they're communicating that message. And the shirt is really just the canvas and then they're just on this journey of getting it done, figuring it out, and then it's like, okay, it's done, but now how do I distribute it? How do I actually get it? If I don't have a machine, how do I get it made? And how do I wear it? How do I sell it even if I don't have a machine? Because you can. There's so many ways. So I show them every little thing that I wish someone taught me early on, that I was like, damn, I wish someone taught me mockups. Damn, I wish someone taught me drop shipping when I only had 200 bucks. I wish someone showed me Canva instead of Photoshop because it's so hard, and I still am not good at it. Like so I teach on Canva, and a lot of clothing brands, they frown upon it, and I'm like, it changed my whole life, Canva. And I literally show kids come up with whole websites and like 6 designs at the end of my program in like 12 weeks on Canva. It's beautiful. It means a lot. And so for me, it's really just finding what's passionate about them and the thing they care about, and letting them communicate that through the product.
Yeah. I mean, there's the idea that the greatest ideas are buried by execution every day, right?
Yeah.
And there's sometimes we're like, well, you don't need to do all that right now. And for me, it's like, no, I disagree, right? Because with execution comes tenacity, comes grit, comes conviction, right? And there's a lot of you could also lean into the generational trolls of like, these kids don't want to work anymore. These kids are too soft. These kids, da. All right, well, guess what? If you are a parent and you're going to say that, wouldn't you be part of the problem, right? And look, I'm taking shots. I'm a parent myself, right? So for me, it's like, yes, you need to get punched in the face, metaphorically, right? Hopefully, let's not promote violence here. Like, metaphorically, the world is going to punch you, give you those gut checks time and time again. Now, what are you going to do with that? When you put out a design, it flops, nothing sells. What are you going to do about that? Are you gonna just scrap this and this was a stupid idea, or are you gonna problem solve? Hey, why didn't it sell? What am I missing? Is it the marketing? Is it the distribution? Is it? This is how you. For me, this is also what ranks. If you want to say it as an employee, that's the same thing, man. Talk about how many people went into the office and you were given a job where you don't know what the hell you're doing, right? The difference between those who get promoted and excel in their careers and those that don't. Can you go figure it out, or are you gonna throw up your hands? Oh, I can't do it,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think this is a great starting point. And to your point, still play. Like, in a way, you're still playing. You're still exploring. You're learning to use imagination and creativity. But well, again, back in our day, that was considered woo woo, right? But the best like, business ideas, the best medical ideas, the best inventions and innovations come from creativity.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that doesn't work. Really? You sure it doesn't work? Okay. Well, instead of saying, okay, I guess that's trash. Okay, wait, hold on. Why doesn't it work? Like, what's missing? What's going sideways? Like, why isn't it working? Maybe it really doesn't work. Or it's like, okay, so no, it doesn't work because the way you operated prior doesn't fit into this box. And so you realize that this stuff isn't a fit for you. But I'm at a point in my career where I've lost track of how many times it was just, wait, this whole time you went through like years and multiple hires worth of this doesn't work just to realize it was just a simple solution. It's just like the bridge, the stopgap wasn't what you thought it was. It was just a quick fix. All you had to do was ask why. Why? I don't know. The more I think about the program that you've dedicated yourself to, the more, I mean, this is where how my brain breaks it down, right? I break it down in terms of not, oh, this is just a fun activity for the kids to get creative a little bit, do a simple art project, right? And make them feel good for a gold star. I think about it in terms of childhood development. I think about building character. I think about how this trains the mind to think more than just whatever the world gives you, right? I apologize. This might trash the podcast thing, but I mean, for me, it's like that is what matters, right? For me, it's where is your character and where is your mindset from now until the future? And I think you're planting the seed early because I think a lot of us in the 2000s, right? We were sitting there just regurgitating and hoping that maybe we'll figure something out, right? It's like, I feel like there's a mentor DNA in you that is that, there's no pretentious like, hey, I'm Mr. Such and such. I'm whatever. It's like, look, man, like, let's figure out what you want to do. I'm here to listen and let's figure it out. And I do really appreciate that there are a lot of charlatans out there. And I feel like for you, there's a real love there, right? A real passion for not only just, right, shirt making, right? Because that's what people are saying, oh, it's just like to make shirts. No, right? Because if that was the case, you don't need to do any of this. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. You probably shouldn't then, right? If that's all you cared about, right? But that brings up another interesting piece. For instance, the State Society of CPAs have pushed legislation for financial education to be mandated, right? And I guess my childhood, it's not even trauma, but it's like my childhood, like knee jerk reaction is like, but that's not for inner schools. like the inner city schools, the schools that are in the projects. Like right or wrong, that's just that's my weird like knee jerk reaction. And funding is always going to be a question, right? And so this is a long-winded way for me to ask, how is it that the programs that you're involved with manage to, have these supplies, have the resources for these kids?
So what I've seen, man, I was fortunate to choose my path, and I just was so stubborn to really not do anything else. And I put in a lot of time to really figure it out. I know not everyone is in the same boat, right? Not everyone has parents, all this, not or one parent. So I know I'm in a different boat, and everyone's different, right? So for me, what I always say is I try to encourage us people on the like we're all kind of on this path. We're all on roads. We're all going. We're crossing. We're making pit stops, bus stops. And when you stop on my stop or on my street, which is me, I just want you to have like, wow, I feel supported. He believed in me. He showed me that something was possible, right? Because I may not see these kids ever again. I may not see these adults ever again when I'm at a show or something. But if I know in that moment where I supported them, like they had that moment with me and they were like, wow, this is possible. I can do this. So to me, that means so much. That's always what I try to do. I learned that from my mom. She meets complete strangers. She'll talk to them for hours. I I'm not nearly as nice as her. Probably only five, but I've learned that from her and also my dad, who would give the shirt off his back. So that's just been engraved to me. Anyone who meets me on their journey, I just want them to be like, wow, I met that guy with the boombox hat. And all right, I don't want to make shirts, but I want to be an accountant. And he was able to follow his dream. I could follow mine. He worked hard. I could work hard too, right? And I think if I look through it at that lens in the simplest form, it just makes the life to me just like so meaningful. And it's like just seeing you, man, like just seeing you, your journey. You become a dad. You do all these amazing things. You pursue your path. I don't want to do what you did, but I want to be like you in the way that you're professional, how the way you handle business. You always check the boxes and cross the T's and dot the I's. So like we could all learn from each other, and my goal is just inspire people, just to be there for people when I meet them along the way. There's a need for art and there's a need for financial literacy because schools teach art, they teach business, but they don't put them together. So I've been grateful. I've been kind of been able to like bridge the gap. I've been able to bridge the gap, and I've seen that I've kind of a few people called me like a unicorn. They're like, yeah, we have an art teacher. We heard of business programs, but no one really does them both together. So clearly, I'm not the only one that does this. There's so many amazing creative people out there, but I've been able to just kind of put it all together and kind of just keep that path going. So yeah, schools need it. They need art programs because I feel like there's less and less. There's such a need for financial literacy because think about it, the more people that are smart in financial literacy in business, the more businesses, the better for the world, right? The more people putting money in the economy, more people are opening bank accounts, more people are getting cars because they know how to credit. So by us being able to do all this and like educate kids at a young age that managing money is a possible thing, it helps the economy so much. It helps jobs so much. It just fuels everything that fuels the world. So there's definitely a
Okay.
need for it.
Yeah, for sure. And there's that's the other side you touched on, right? It still goes down to financial education. Like I don't know how much that curriculum revolves around specifics because even adults their eyes glaze over and they're bored half to death. Right? But again, for me, it's one of those things of I would assume that there's some level of like, look, understand that these shirts cost X amount. It costs this much to get these shirts printed. You're gonna have to understand how much money is going out and how much money you need to charge. And it just for me, it's like basic physics almost, right? Right? Because you can only borrow so far into your thing, but I would hope for a lot of these kids, they also then are able to transfer that to personal finance. And, it's one of these unfortunate things where even their parents and like generations, prior don't have that understanding. And it may be one of the reasons why families struggle, well, among other things, right? Let's not put everything in one bucket, right? But among things, in this day and age, oftentimes the big thing is that you spend more than you make. And yes, there's a certain level of saving you should do, right? Don't buy that Birka bag if you're barely making rent. But it's just one of those things where there is that. And then the other side of it is, yes, you can only save so much until there's nothing left to save. At that point, you just started, right? And for me, that's the beauty of this abundance mindset of, hey, if you got the grit, if you got the drive, if you have the ambition, yes, you should be responsible in terms of not spending recklessly. And you should also think about where can you leverage your talents, your know-how, your expertise to make more money. And this is where you have creators. You don't have takers, you have creators. You have value creators, value makers, value whatever. And this is why I love that program all so much. And like there is, to my understanding, they do receive whether it's grants or donation of some kind of like sponsorship of kinds from companies and businesses, or am I off there?
Yeah, we've been supported in a multiple of ways. We've had partner organizations. We've had organizations get funding from the city. Orgs that hire me, they get grants from the city. So from what I see, at least so far, there's been a demand for this. There's been a demand to teach financial literacy, but package it in a way where a kid could digest it. You can meet them where they are, but then show them the fundamentals through the package of what it is, of the thing you want to share. So if I'm showing kids how to make bracelets, I'm wearing a bracelet right now made by these kids.
It's dope.
Not only did they learn how to make the bracelet, which of course was the craft, right, of being like a crafter, but then it's like the beads costed $4. You can't charge $2. How much should you charge? 10. And then we talk about if they're doing a pop-up shop, how long they're working and how long did it take to even make this stuff. And if they're paying themselves minimum wage and they work 20 hours building 20 bracelets, now that $4 bracelet probably should be about 25. So they just start thinking about the value of money. I know when you're young, you have so much time, but also you got to consider all that when you're making a product and pricing the product. Because 10-year-old kids, they're not thinking about jobs, right? But they're thinking about buying a game or they're thinking about going to the movies or doing different things, and money comes into play there too, and like they have allowance and how do they manage it. So you can start them young, and then if you meet them where their passion is and they're making something that they're passionate about, it all just ties in.
Yeah, I like that, man. And for me, just come top of mind, I don't know where it's going to take me, but look, if you are a small business owner in the five boroughs, I want you to consider reaching out to one of the schools that Dave is involved with, and let's see if you can make this work and have it make sense. Let's see if you are willing to maybe put up some of these goods on your shelves, on your racks. Maybe it's a consignment deal, maybe it's a profit share, whatever it is, right? Maybe the schools will start hunting you down, but let's see if there are any business owners in the local areas that are willing to partner with the schools to help these kids understand that there's other paths forward. Right, I'm just gonna leave that more so there. Let's see where it takes us. But hard has it been for you guys to have the support to expand the programs or or level it up, so to speak.
I would say it's fun, right? Because you get these opportunities, but then you're so busy doing the opportunity, you're not out finding more opportunities. So if the opportunity kind of dries out and all your time was spent at the school and you don't really have a team selling the programs or getting you gigs, you could go on a dry spell if you're a
Mhm.
creative and you're doing these education programs or you're just or a CPA and you're doing these programs, right? So I think it's important to think ahead with anything. You got to plan ahead, and it's good to have partnerships, but some of them do dry up, unfortunately. And this it could be the city funding. It may not be the relationship. So I think it's important to have the time where you're planting the seed and you're preparing for the next wave. Like me, I'm preparing for next year. I'm thinking about how to get the gigs. I'm thinking about how to get funding and programs. It's tough because you're asking people to chip in on something, but from what I've seen, man, a lot of people are so busy doing their job and they want to see change happen and they want to see positive things happen in schools and they can't do it themselves. So, what I've seen too, they're like, oh, Dave, you're doing this? Oh, perfect. I'll just contribute to you because you're already doing this. And I don't have to start from scratch. And I don't have time because I have 3 kids and I have a career that's 60 hours a week. I'll just contribute to you. You're already doing it. You're already in the schools. This is something you got going, and all it takes is to do all of this. So yeah, just the planning and then connecting.
It's going to be for those folks who I mean, we'll obviously we'll get into the how to reach out and get connected and all that. But I think this is where I hope there's more, even if it's not on a city level. I really hope that the local communities start banding together and understand that there is more to education than global studies and math and science and English lit and all this jazz. Those are still important. Those are still fundamentals. But I find that this is a really good way to tie things into something that is really real world, and now you see utility. Because the running joke has always been, you go to school with it, you don't carry any of that forward. None of that matters. None of that, right? Like we've heard all the, right, and to a certain extent, a lot of it has been somewhat true, right? How much of trig did you end up using, unless you are in a specific trade or profession that really does, like, how often are you required to spout, European history?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing here is you may be in a situation now where you can start taking these ideas, get context from some of these classes, and start really understanding where does this come into play. Like some of the teachers that we've all known, knew and loved, we recognize that the body came from their passion in the thing, right? I didn't care as much for global studies or U.S. history or any of that, but the teacher who was so engrossed in it and truly cared about the subject matters, you got me, bro, right? And now in a situation where, for instance, math, you have people like, in the real world, if you see a tree and you're like 15 feet away, you can kind of calculate what the difference is going to be if you need to pull it down. Okay, maybe. Or you can start getting creative about like, how do I turn that into a shirt? How do I make it fun? How do I make it snap? How do I make it, you know? Now you're taking real world things, and maybe you know what? Maybe for some of these kids, where some of them might be terrible, terrible students. Why? Because they don't care. It's not interesting. Like my ADHD brain, if it's not interesting, I clock out, man. Right? But
Yeah.
now, if I'm thinking about ways to like, yo, how do I make this relevant? How do I make this hit? I got to be factually correct, but it's got to be snarky. It's got to be clever. It's got to, right? It's got to hit. Well, no, I might take a little extra time to figure out, like, yo, back in our day, yo, Mister, yo, what does that mean though? What does that mean? Right? So now I might make it a funny shirt at the end of the semester, but you know what? Now I know what Pythagoras theorem might be, right? I mean, look, I'm getting ridiculous here, but
Yeah.
ultimately, it's still some level of retention, right? Because you want to be relevant, right? Like, especially I feel like, when you're trying to be part of the culture or a culture, there has to be some kind of tie-in to, like, it has to make sense. Always, no, like, okay, it's a shirt of a square with a circle. Like, okay, like, huh? Right? And I think this might be a good way to tie in lesson plans to be like, hey, maybe I'm getting too abstract.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've had it's been amazing, man. And every year I evolve. Like every lesson now, I make like a playbook, right? Like I make a website with all the steps. So even if they kind of do the lesson, or maybe they miss it, or they enjoyed it but maybe they didn't fully grasp everything, I make a playbook for every lesson now. Like I really, for me, it's always like, how could I overdo it in a way, but still make it simple enough where they could sit down for 10 minutes, apply these things, and leave with something. That's always my goal, is for them to leave that day with more than they started with. And,
Oh,
and when they're done at the program, most of them have 3 or 4 designs. They have their own website that showcases their work. And I tell them, I'm like, wow, I had my first website when I was 26. You guys are 13 and you have your first website. And then all of a sudden, like, their conversations could be different if they just now take that step and be like, hey, this is my website. This is my, and all of a sudden people take them more serious. Internships, even jobs, even if they want to be a nurse and they have a website, right? Like, clearly that won't certify them, but showing them that they could start something and they could finish something is just everything to me. So if I could get kids believing that if they start something, they could finish it and then actually show it to others, I've done my job.
and I think you've been doing your job, man. Right?
Thanks.
Any borough that you have not worked in yet?
I've had a really good share in Staten Island. I've visited schools in other boroughs, but I haven't really done the programs in the other boroughs. A lot of them have been one-off days. So I must say, Staten Island, I've had a really rich relationship with, of course, where I grew up and where I live. But the other boroughs still very untapped. I haven't really had a chance to really connect with those boroughs yet.
Well, let's put it out there. Brooklyn, I'm looking at you. You're my backyard, and I got hopes for you guys. let's get Dave out in these other boroughs, right? And you know what? No, no, shoot. Let's also spread it out to Jersey. Jersey, yo, North Bergen, y'all got money, right? You guys got a hefty education budget. Yo, let's go. Come on.
Yeah,
I
I would
mean,
love that.
this is the stuff where look. I guess it depends on the packaging, the delivery, and all that. But for me, at the end of the day, the kids are engaged, and I think it does, to your point, drive a good message forward. But like jokes aside, right? What is your next year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever you want to call it? What's your plans for the future?
I want to definitely finish this book. I'm writing a book basically about how to do my program without me doing the program there. All right, you're in Ohio. Clearly, I can't get to Ohio because I'm here and I have a lot going on here. But you're a teacher, you're ambitious, you want to start a school business, a school spirit business with merch. My book will show you how to do it. So that's my first goal really this year is complete that book. And I was blessed. I recently got a grant to do it, which is amazing. I'm super grateful for it. So I have to do it. I was gonna do it anyway because it means that much to me. So that's my number one goal is really to finish the book because I know no matter what happens to me, if I'm here, if I'm not, that book could live beyond, and the work in there could show someone else how to pass it on to someone else. So to me, that I've done my job there, and I feel like that means so much to me. Two, I would love if these programs could run even if I'm not physically there, right? So like I could have a staff, two or three of other creatives that could do these programs as well. Maybe in Jersey where they work with us or another city or state. Maybe I have a guy in the Bronx, maybe because I'm too busy in Staten Island, but the programs could still happen. So I would love to like clone myself, right? Quote unquote, where like even if I'm not there, the impact could happen in the school. So kind of between those two things, I want to kind of my real goal, Alex, is just to have impact, even if I'm not physically there. I want the work to kind of live, to kind of grow its own branches and like fly away on its own and still leave the impact. So those are my two goals for the next few years. I think if I could do that, I would feel really fulfilled. I already feel very fulfilled, and feel very blessed to do what I'm doing.
There's the fulfillment on your end, but I think because you fill up so many other people's cups, that I'm rooting for you, man. There's still so much work to be done. And I think there is, my wife's a teacher as well, but as I talk to other teachers, and there's always that struggle, right? And this is why I touched up on so many different aspects, because on the one hand, there are a lot of school districts that don't have, or schools, oh God, I'm gonna rip apart here. How much of it is mismanagement, right? Because let's face it, a lot of folks in administration aren't necessarily business people, right? And so they try their best, right? And so part of it is, are they actually getting sufficient funding for the programs that they need for the kids? How much of it was just they're not savvy enough to understand like the best ways to utilize the budget money, right? And how much of it is just, dude, I think more times than not, it really is just, dude, we have too many students with very particular needs, and between the population within the school and the services and facilities that we have, we're stressed thin. We're stretched so thin, right? And teachers are also trying to figure out how to do this while being handcuffed by policies, regulations, and some of them are good, right? Some of them are actually like you need to have some of these policies in. Some of them are like, do we really need that, right? But either way, for me, ultimately, it's about the kids, right? And this is why I love leading into the teachers who's like, look, my life might suck right now because I'm driving 3 hours, trying to get to work every morning. I'm working extra hours so I can make ends meet. I'm trying my best to manage a class where some kids are just either not engaged or they have very particular needs. Right? It's a struggle, man.
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, I'm hoping that at least one of these kids will come walk away thinking, you know what, this was there's value. I feel valued. I feel valuable. I feel like I have something that puts me one step closer to being someone that I could be proud of in 20 years, right? Like I know this sounds very woo woo, but there's a lot to unpack there. And so for me, when you are going out of your way, because I'm sure that you could have done anything else, and that would have brought you so much more money and success in a financial sense, right? Let me be specific,
yeah,
but the time that you put in because you feel a calling to help other kids understand there's so many different ways forward, and unpacking so much knowledge from something so simple as learn how to set up a website, learn how to create design, learn how to put that idea to paper and or on fabric, And now let's learn how to market yourself, market your product, market a company, market something, right? But also explore. Like, dude, there's so many things here that I just, every time I think about the things that you're working on, the more possibilities that unravel for me for these kids. And I love it, man. I do.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah, when you start, you're like, I want to do this, but you have no clue how you'll get there. And there's there's days I'm just like yeah, I always think about the future. I'm always planning. As I told you, I just told you my last two goals, which are like the next evolving, right? And
Mhm.
me evolving. But like there's so many times now where I'm just like, wow, you're here. You're actually doing the thing you always wanted to do. Like now just have fun and show up every day. You didn't we could always say, "Oh, we haven't made it yet," but to me, it's like, "Wow, I actually made where I wanted to be when I started." I had no clue all everything it would take to get here. I'm like, "Wow, I'm actually in the game that I always wanted to play, and I actually get to do this. Like, this is what I always wanted to do." And I just keep getting more chances to do it, and I never take any of it for granted. So I'm very grateful, and even just to talk about it, it just it makes me go, "Wow, like this means a lot."
Well, when your book is ready, hit me up. I mean,
I will.
I'll do what I can. And, what is it that there's, I mean, worst comes to worst, I'm saying all the regular distribution, but what is it? There's teachers pay teachers. I'm
Yeah.
sure someone would pick it up there too. But, assuming the book rolls out, in
Yeah.
I guess, the more traditional sense, you plan on doing like an ebook?
Yeah, yeah. There was a scene, bro, in Yellowstone, episode 5, season 5, and he was like, "If you want to keep it, you got to give it all away." And like to me, that hit me so hard because I was like in the process of like being like, "Do I really just share everything that I know? Like, am I gonna lose business? Are people now gonna not hire me to do their stuff because now they know how to do it?" And it was like, no, like really the way to really make the biggest impact and to help is to really give it away. And that's what I want to do with the book. That's what I want to do with finding people to do these programs. I have to do this. This is my next path of like literally how many stereotypes could I plant, right? Like if I made one for me and I've been able to sell 1 million in t-shirts, I got to be able to find 10 more people. And even if I don't get $1 from them, to be able to know I was part of that process, even if they sold one t-shirt, right? As I said, you see that something's possible, it goes so far. So that's really my goal, man. And I'm grateful for every chance to do it.
I mean, I agree with that statement. I mean, I think more times than not, I see that play out more and more often, and it's to their benefit. But where it's like, I mean, there's still that old guard of like, hey, we need to hide the secret sauce. Hey, they gotta find. It's the issue of the internet, man. Like, there's very few things that they can't just Google foo something, dude.
Exactly.
Like, so it's like for me, there's that inner voice that says, "Oh my God, they're gonna find out. They're gonna copy me." All right, let them copy. The whole point. More times than not, like when you go over to the side of abundance, usually I guess it's more like that Gary Vaynerchuk approach of like, "Yo, just give it to them for free." You know why? Because at the very least, they know that you're legitimate, right? And more times than not, the people who are really like industrious and whatever, yeah, they're gonna copy you anyway. They're gonna copy you anyway, okay? But at least at the very least, your name is in their head, right? But more times than not, they want to look through how the cookie's made, and then they see how you operate. This is social media. You can only lie for so long, man, and they're gonna find out, and they realize, oh, this, Dave's freaking legit, man. Like he's on top of this. He's doing this. He's doing this day in day out. He's got his reps in. He knows what he's talking about. He's got his systems in place. Like he's a well-oiled machine. And then it turns into, well, we could do it ourselves, but why would I? Now we have to put more manpower. We have to do more money because we're probably gonna fail here and there. Like, it's just not worth the grief, right? Let's throw money at this problem, right? For hopefully it's a lot of money, but some tells me it's not. It's not like you're walking around, with like you're not walking out with a Bentley, right? So it's one of those things where like we'll keep it within our budget, and I mean maybe some programs will try to bootstrap what they can, but ultimately it's gonna be like, look, we need someone to like walk us through this process because the last thing we need is the system flop. This program flops, and even worse, like maybe it flops in a way where like now the PTA is involved. Now you got to deal with like, why did you let this happen? Well, I don't know, right? You could avoid it. This just hire someone who's doing it, right? Like this,
Yep, yep.
for most other business models are similar, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want to do it on your own later on, Godspeed, right? Maybe it's bad for your business model, Dave. Sorry, but like if you want to do it later on your own, Godspeed, have fun, right? But You know, there's more than
Exactly.
enough. There's more than enough money out there. There's more than enough opportunities. And for me, my hope here for you is that enough eyeballs and ears, right, listening in to understand that this is now a thing. It will continue to be a thing, and I hope that it expands to be a bigger thing, right? And
Thank you.
it's not something that's just like kitschy or gimmicky or whatever. I really do believe that you can build out a program. And for me, my hope for you is gonna be like, hey, like instead of just a grade, that might be, like almost like how all the curriculums are things. Like there's a 101, 102. Like as you build up, you learn the basics, you learn to have fun. Now what's the next level? Because there are always levels to this, right? Like, and
Yeah.
so now they get the basics down. Now you have some fun. You know how those fundamentals work. Now let me show you how to get from, say, maybe you made $100 in sales. Let's see how you could get to 10,000, right? And maybe, like, again, maybe pivot to a different business, but the fundamentals are still transferable. Can you figure out an idea? Can you put the work ethic in? Can you finish your idea? Can you execute on the things that you said you were going to do? Right? Can you pivot when you need to? Can you recognize when you need to pivot?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, do you have the grit, tenacity? Can you, right? Like all the same things, man. Like, so yeah, again, Jesus Christ, me and my soapboxes on this one. I have high hopes, man. I do. I really do.
Thank you,
And I
man.
think what you're working on is sorely, sorely underestimated. And I hope in the years to come, man, I hope this program explodes, right? Or what, however you want to roll this out in the future. Like, I expect to hear good things.
Thank you, my brother. Yeah, thank you. This is so cool. I'm grateful to be talking to you, and I love seeing everything you're working on. I love how passionate you are about your craft, and I love just it's great to see, man. They've come so far. You've come so far since Port. I can't wait to see what you do next as well.
I'm still figuring it out, so we'll see. But in the meantime, right? Where can folks reach out? Where can they connect with you? How could they, learn more about the enigma that is David Noodleman?
Of course, yeah. Check me out, Dave Noodles, DaveNoodlez, and then you could check out the two websites, stereotypeco.com, schoolspiritenterprise.com.
I'll put the links down in the description. And
Thank
again, if you guys are not yourselves part of the DOE system, if you know someone with administration, teacher, whatever have you, do us a favor, send them the video, at least give them the updates, at least send them the links, do something, right? Because the world's gonna get really rocky really quick, right? AI's come in, this, that, and the third. There's always gonna be something, right? The least we can do for the sake of not only our kids' futures, but honestly, I'm sure it's gonna down the line affect y'all too. Is equipping these kids with the ability to have options and to actually not just survive but thrive through them, right? The worst thing you could do is put the blinders on and hope they figure it out on their own. So
Yeah.
that's my last soapbox. If you guys have any questions, reach out. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.